Hey everyone, it's the Newfound Nomad. Welcome to camper conversion number 2. So in this conversion, what I'm doing is I'm actually putting the passenger seat all the way down and building a 3-piece section frame that goes on top of it. So, as you guys see, I just took out a piece of the frame. I pushed my passenger seat all the way back. So this is what it's like. I could keep the headrest there and it can extend a little bit further, but the headrest is in it's kind of like in a different shape, like a curve, and I don't really like that. But see, my plan is to actually make a frame to sit on top of the passenger seat. So in my Toyota Corolla, I actually took out the passenger seat and made a frame extending from the front dash all the way to where the back seats were. However, my family, friends, and boyfriend said, do not take out your passenger seat. Well, because they want to be passengers in my vehicle sometimes. So that's where I came up with the idea to build a frame to put over the passenger seat. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know if anybody's ever done this. I mean, I probably should have done my research to get an idea to see if anyone's ever done this, but I thought, why don't I just use my creativity and try to create something on my own? So the only thing is that even though the seat goes all the way back, there is that little, bump, little rise there, which is okay. It kind of feels good on the lower back. However, the problem that I have is that I will have to extend and make a frame anyways to go all the way in the backs, cause when you go down, the knees are still folded. See? And I don't want to sleep like that. What I want to sleep is like my legs stretched out, but we can't sleep like this. This is very uncomfortable. So we're going to have to build a frame that goes all the way here into the back. So I will show you guys what I mean when I talk about putting a frame over the passenger seat. It's a work in progress. You'll have to see it to believe it. All right, let's get at it. So now that the frame is built, we're actually going to have to measure the distance between the bottom of the frame to the floor for some legs. As you can see, I'm kind of struggling with that because I'm trying to keep the frame level. And this is when a leveler comes in to play. So you're probably going to have to use one hand to hold up the frame and then the other hand to somehow measure the distance between underneath the frame to the floor. And you're going to realize that my frame only has 3 long legs that actually reach to the floor, and that's because of the way that the seat is and the positioning of it. Unfortunately, that is not going to be enough to support this frame when I put my weight on it when I'm sleeping. So you're going to notice in the next clip that I actually cut some pieces of 2x4 into different lengths. And what they'll do is they'll actually go underneath the frame and I'll secure them with a couple of screws, and that'll give that extra stability so my frame is not like wonky or unleveled. As you can see, I got the frame built here in the Honda Accord. For those who have known me since day one, they all know I built the same kind of frame in my Toyota Corolla when I removed the passenger seat. However, in this camper conversion, I kept the passenger seat, and that's because my boyfriend, my family, and my friends were like, do not remove your passenger seat. So I kind of found a loophole. I was like, well, why don't I build a frame on top of the passenger seat? That way it can be removable and I can still give people rides and I don't remove the passenger seat. However, I kind of ran into a little situation right now. I built the frame over the passenger seat as you would, but now I can't get the frame out. And this is the whole purpose of doing this, is so it's removable. So now I have to take the circular saw it in half, and make a bed frame that's 3 pieces, and that way I can remove it like the plan was. So yeah, let's get started. The whole time I was filming this part of the video, I kept saying to myself over and over in my head, I'm like, whatever you do not cut your seats. Then you definitely am going to have to remove the passenger seat. So this was something that was very nerve-wracking, but I took my time. It was an awkward position as well. If I ever do build a removable frame, I'll make sure that I kind of cut it into 3 sections before building it in the car. So I kind of regret stopping when I was cutting through the frame because I couldn't get the circular saw back in and I didn't want it to kick back. The reason why I stopped is because I had to remove this or push the seatbelt over so I didn't cut the seatbelt in half. So I just took out the handsaw and sawed the rest of the way and it worked. But as you can see, the frame is now into 3 sections and I'm just making sure that I can take them out. The only downside about cutting them into 3 sections is now I'm going to have to add extra legs for more support, because when the whole frame was joined together, it was supporting itself. But now that it's cut in half, I need to find another way to support it. And as I mentioned, we're just going to add some more legs to it. So I just cut more pieces of 2x4. But in order to know exactly how long the legs are going to be, you have to kind of get up under the frame and measure the distance from the underneath the frame to the seat. As you can tell, this is another support system, another support leg right here. They just rest on the seat, as I mentioned earlier on in this video. I'm going to want to add a yoga mat to help protect the seats, because over time, after using this frame, you're probably going to get some wear and tear from the legs being shifted and being removed from the seat all the time. And this is a newly used vehicle, so I do want to somehow take care of the seats. Maybe I'll just get a seat cover to put over it and protect it that way as well. Here in this video clip, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just adding some L brackets, I believe that's what they're called, to help support the 3 legs that actually touch the floor. The 2x4s are pretty stable and they're only short, so they don't really need extra support, but I kind of figured that because the 3 legs are taking most of the weight, it's probably a good idea to add some L brackets for extra security. And with that being said, I now have a bed frame to sleep on. So here we are in the Valley Mall Underground. I'm going to get out and show you how I put the car camper together, because as you can see, I'm in travel mode. The passenger seat is upright, the headrest is on, everything is stored in the back there. So the reason why I came to the Underground is that it's raining outside and I didn't want to get my bedding wet or any of my other stuff that I have stored in the back there. Also, I have to work today, so I don't want to get wet as well. So yeah, so let's get out and I'll show you how this car camper assembles. Let's go. If you just look to the bottom left corner, you'll see a picture, and this is how I actually store my 3-piece bed frame when I'm traveling. And I actually keep the frame stored in my car at all times. Because the thing about living in your car part-time is that I can call up my boyfriend and be like, hey, I'm gonna go stay in my car tonight. And he's like, okay. So I have the frame with me at all times. And that's the same thing that goes with my camping equipment as well. Hey guys, so I had to put you in the car because where I'm in the underground, people are driving by and I don't want them to run you over. Also, there's this really creepy guy kind of pulled up alongside of me, so we're just gonna work on. So if you just take a look in here, this is what my back of my vehicle looks like when the frame has been removed from storage. You can see that I still have my shelves in here from my original conversion when I built the frame going into the pass-through into the trunk. If you go to camper conversion number 1 on YouTube, you'll actually learn how I fasten those shelves without damaging my car. And I'll give you a little hint right now. I actually built a wooden spoiler, sort of speak, to help fasten those on. But be sure to go check out camper conversion number 1 if you want to see that and learn how I put the shelves there as well. Now that the frame sections are removed out of the vehicle, it's time to do the same thing like we were doing when we were building the frame. We just push the seat back, pull the lever, bring the seat down as flat as we can. Sometimes you're going to have to adjust it depending on who's been sitting in your passenger seat since. So you will notice through each one of my videos that it takes me quite some time to set up my car camper. Definitely takes a lot more time than actually having a frame that's built in and is permanent. And that's because, you gotta find the sweet spot with the seat, especially depending on the passenger that you had and how much they messed with the seat or how you messed with the seat. You kinda gotta level it out so the frame fits together. However, it's totally worth the hassle. I mean, to have a car that you can use for everyday life and then just be able to convert it into a camper in the matter of minutes is, yeah, definitely worth it. So you'll probably notice when I was putting in that middle frame that the 2 legs that actually go to the floor are a little bit slanted. And that's why it was important for the L brackets. The reason why the legs were slanted is because of the shape of the seat. Now keep in mind, if you're building a frame to fit over your seat, you have to do it over the seat, if you know what I'm saying. Because if you build the frame outside first and you make straight legs, then it's not going to fit properly. And that's why they're slanted. That's the best as I can explain it. So the last section of the frame is probably the trickiest part of them all because it has so many different short legs that rest on the seat and trying to get them even with the other frame. And that's what I mean. Like, you kind of got to find that sweet spot with the seat position and kind of like bring it up and down and trying to get it leveled. And that's a pain, but hey, it's okay. I'd much rather have a frame that allows me to stretch out, especially when I'm in my car a lot, compared to a frame that goes in through the pass-through into the trunk, and I'm kind of like checking the trunk all the time. So there you go. That's the frame that's in it, and you'll probably think that the headrest is uneven, but it's not. See, when you build the legs that go on top of the cushion, they're going to be up a little bit. That's because it's on a cushion. But once I put my weight on the frame, that'll sink down and it'll all be level. So that's why the frame looks like it's uneven, but it's not really. And that's why it's important and why I added a voiceover when adding the legs to the frame, because it can be tricky. That's why it's a good idea to test it out while you're building it. So now that we've got the frame all together, we're going to address the bedding. If you're wondering what that piece down there that I was kind of adjusting, that was actually an extra section. So I guess we could say this frame has 4 sections, but the other section is just to kind of extend my feet out a little bit more. The frame is 5'5", 5 feet, 5 inches long, but you still want a little bit like room for a toe stretch, if you know what I'm saying. So now that we've got the foam on, I'm going to give you a little peek into my trunk and show you this is how I kind of stay organized when I'm on the road. It kind of looks like a mess right now because that's everything's just thrown in there. But we've got my DIY window covers and underneath these, you actually have my bedding container. And that contains my sleeping bag, my yoga mats. This pink Kong case is from BattleBox. I got it in my monthly subscription survival box. Carries my electronics. Then we've got this folding crate here that contains miscellaneous tools, my Silky Nada hatchet, my Boreal 21 socks, some tarps, you know, car jack, you name it. It's just a random box of tools. And over there on the left is a crate full of my like camping cookware. So yeah, so now we're just gonna pop out a yoga mat. And the reason why I have this yoga mat is I actually lay it across the foam. And it kind of gives it like a little bit more grip, so I'm kind of not like sliding or like pushing the foam down, if that makes sense. And although it's not very thick, it does give you some sort of padding. I will have to actually invest in a thicker piece of foam, because I did sleep on this the other night when me and Janine went to Coppermine Falls, or Coppermine. Yeah, there was the falls, but we went to Coppermine, and I woke up with like a little bit of a bad back, so we just have to get another piece of foam. I'm not getting any younger. 31 and older. Growing older. I was such a weirdo. Yeah, so now we've got the plus 7 degree sleeping bag out. I do have a minus 20, but that's for colder nights. Now that it's the summer, we're not busting that out. So this is pretty much just the bed. Pretty simple once you've got the frame built. Yeah, so I hope you guys like it. So now I'm just gonna kind of put up my window covers, give you guys a little look-see inside and see what it's like when the window covers are up. It's definitely a lot cozier than what you would think. So if you're wondering how I built these window covers, I actually got my materials all from the dollar store. There is a video on TikTok where I show you how to make your very own window shade covers. Maybe I will upload it to YouTube as either a video or a short, so you guys have it here. But pretty much it's just foam, tarp, duct tape, and Bristol board. And what I did is I took the piece of foam and I actually traced out the shape of my window. Then I put tarp on one side to face the window. And we've got, you see this one says the Newfound Nomad, but we've got ones that has funky designs. And the funky designs actually face towards me. And it gives some life and color when I'm in my car. You could possibly put the designs on the outside of the car for people to see, but if you're living in your car, you'll want to do stealth mode. Car camping is one thing, but stealth mode is important when you're living in your car. So you could see here, this is the, the windshield cover, and this one's kind of was tricky to make because I had to make it like an accordion and it doesn't quite fit, but you can see that I used the sun blockers, visors, yeah, that's what they are, visors, to help hold it up and block some of the light and, of course, people's visions. Now, this one was my all-time favorite one. It is a pain to put up because trying to get it to stay up in the back windshield or the back window is hard, but it's the most colorful one. It brings a lot of life into my car. I think this took me like almost an hour and a half to draw out and color with Sharpies, but I really do like it. And when I talk about it being a pain to hold up, it's because it falls down. But then I got this cute little daisy light, which I love. It's my aesthetic, which helps hold it up. And that daisy light has multi-purpose. It helps hold up my window shade, but I also plug it into a power bank at night, and it gives me a little bit of light. And this is what she looks like. So groovy. Love it, man. And this little round thing that you probably seen earlier is my table. So I was going to fix it, but I kind of like how it slides. So maybe I'll put some gadgets in there so it can actually slide back and forth. You can store items underneath it, like the headrest you see there. That was just a little lantern that I got in my battle box. It's a solar power lantern. Gotta love it. So now we're just climbing into the car camper and I can show you what it looks like when the doors are closed. But here she is. If I don't put a bin there, I got lots of leg room to kind of sit down, even though you're hunched back because the roof is, you know, kind of lower since you built the frame. But other than that, it's a nice little place to sleep, to call your own. I love it. And of course, I couldn't end this video without sharing with you guys what I do when it's hot outside. So I actually remove one window cover and I have this elastic bug net window shade. I guess that's what you call it. And you actually just put it down over your door to cover your window. Then you can actually put your window all the way down, or you could crack it and you don't have to worry about getting eaten alive by flies. And man, don't I wish I had this when I went car camping in Coppermine with Janine, because I got eaten alive. It was so hot I had to put my windows down. And with that said, that is all, folks. This is my car camper conversion number 2. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And remember, stay safe, stay kind. Much love to you all. Stay tuned for more great content, more car living adventures, and more car camping adventures. Love you all.